The CEO stuns everyone by kissing his secretary. What happens after changes everything. Hello everyone. Before we begin today's story, I have a small favor to ask. Please hit subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you never miss our channel's new videos. It is quick, free, and the best way to support us in bringing you more dramatic stories. Your support means the world to us. Where are you watching from? Drop your city or country in the comments below. Thank you very much. And now, let us return to the main character. The room freezes on a single breath. Crystal chandeliers glow above polished marble floors. Camera flashes cut the air. The annual Black Ridge Holdings Gala is supposed to be predictable, elegant, controlled. A place where nothing unexpected ever happens. Until it does. Ethan Cole, the chief executive officer of Black Ridge Holdings, steps forward without warning. One decisive step. One hand reaches back. He pulls his secretary closer and kisses her in front of everyone. Not a quick brush, not a polite gesture, a real kiss. Long enough for the whispers to start, long enough for phones to rise, long enough for the board members to lock eyes in disbelief. The room erupts in quiet chaos. Gasps ripple through the crowd. A journalist drops her pen. A senior partner stiffens, face drained of color. Somewhere near the stage, someone mutters, "Is this a joke?" But it is not a joke, and the woman standing in Ethan's arms knows that better than anyone. Her name is Claire Monroe. Moments earlier, she had been doing exactly what she had done every day for 3 years, standing 2 steps behind Ethan Cole, holding a slim tablet, tracking schedules, names, numbers, problems he did not have time to notice. She was not dressed for headlines, just a simple navy dress, low heels, hair pinned neatly back. The kind of woman people forget the moment they look away. Until now. Because now every eye in the room is on her. Claire does not move. She does not pull away. She does not lean in either. She stands there, heart pounding so loudly she is certain the microphones can hear it. This was not part of her job description. 30 seconds earlier, Ethan had leaned close and whispered, "Trust me." His voice had been calm, controlled, almost cold. The same voice he used in boardrooms when billion-dollar deals were on the line. She had not had time to ask why. She still does not. The kiss ends. Silence follows. Ethan turns to the room as if nothing extraordinary has happened. His hand remains steady at Claire's waist. Protective, possessive, deliberate. "Ladies and gentlemen," he says, voice smooth and measured. "Allow me to introduce Claire Monroe." That is all he says. No explanation, no apology. No retreat. Claire feels the weight of the moment crush down on her shoulders. She can already see the story forming in their minds. The assumptions, the judgments. Secretary climbs her way up. Powerful man loses control. Office scandal. Corporate disaster. If they only knew the truth. Because the truth is this. That kiss was not passion. It was a move. And it was made out of desperation. Only hours earlier, Claire had been in her small office, staring at an email that could change her life for the worse. Her father's medical bills had crossed 6 figures. Insurance had stopped calling back. Her savings were gone. Her options were running out. At the same time, Ethan Cole was cornered by a different kind of threat. A board faction demanding a public image shift. A powerful family pushing an arranged engagement. A deal that required him to look stable, committed, untouchable by scandal. They both needed something. And in that glittering ballroom, under the eyes of the elite, 2 lives quietly collided. Claire finally meets Ethan's gaze. For the first time, his expression cracks, just slightly, as if even he did not fully understand what he had just set in motion. What no one in that room realizes yet is this: that single kiss will rewrite contracts, shatter reputations, and force a choice neither of them is ready to make. Because some things can be negotiated, and some things cannot. The night does not end at the kiss. It fractures. Within minutes, handlers move fast. Security suddenly tightens the perimeter. Journalists are ushered toward champagne stations. Board members whisper behind rigid smiles. The gala music resumes, but the air never fully recovers. Claire barely hears any of it. Ethan's hand leaves her waist, but his presence does not. He leans in just enough for only her to hear. "Follow me," he says, not a request. They move through a side corridor reserved for executives, away from crystal lights and curious eyes. The door closes behind them, muting the noise of the ballroom. Silence rushes in. Claire finally exhales. Her hands are shaking. "What was that?" she asks, her voice low but tight. "You did not warn me." Ethan loosens his tie. For the first time tonight, he looks human, tired, cornered. "I warned you as much as I could," he says. "I said trust me." "That was not trust," Claire replies. "That was a gamble, with my life." He does not argue. Instead, he turns and looks at her fully, not as his assistant, not as part of his schedule, but as the woman who just became the center of a corporate earthquake. "I needed a public answer," he says. "Tonight." "To what?" she asks. "To everything," he says. "The board, the family, the rumors, the pressure." Claire folds her arms. "And you decided the answer was me?" "Yes." The word lands heavy. He explains quickly, but not carelessly. A faction on the board has been pushing for a merger tied to a family alliance. A public engagement would lock his vote. A refusal would cost him control. Investors want stability. The press wants a narrative. "And tonight," he says, "they were ready to force my hand." "So you kissed your secretary," Claire says, "in front of everyone." "I needed something undeniable," he says. "Something that shut every other conversation down." She laughs once, short, humorless. "You could have ruined me." "I will not," he says immediately. Claire meets his eyes. "You already put my name in every headline tomorrow." He nods. "Which is why I'm going to protect you." She waits. "There is only one way this works," Ethan continues. "We make it official, controlled, temporary." She already knows where this is going. The thought makes her stomach drop. "You want me to pretend?" she says. "Yes." "To be your girlfriend," she finishes. "For now," he says. "Public appearances only. Events. No private expectations. No personal obligations." She stares at him, disbelief mixing with exhaustion. "And what do I get?" she asks quietly. Ethan does not hesitate. "I cover your father's medical bills," he says. "All of them. Past and future. I secure your position here. I shield you from the press. And when this ends, you walk away clean." Her breath catches. She had not told him about her father. "You ran a background check," she says. "I needed to understand what I was asking you to risk," he says, "and why you might say no." Silence stretches between them. This is not romance. This is leverage dressed in courtesy. "And the rules?" Claire asks. Ethan opens a folder on the table. Inside is a neatly drafted agreement. 3 pages. Clear, cold, precise. No physical intimacy beyond public appearances. No private cohabitation. A fixed timeline. A clean exit clause. "This is not a marriage," he says. "It is a role, and you can walk away at any time." Claire looks down at the pages. This was never part of her plan. She wanted stability, quiet, a chance to survive the year. Instead, she is standing in a locked room with the most powerful man in the building, deciding whether to step into a lie that will be watched by the entire world. Outside, the music swells again. Inside, Claire makes a choice that will change everything. She picks up the pen. The contract goes into effect the next morning. There is no countdown, no adjustment period, no time to hide. By 8:30 a.m., Claire Monroe's name is already trending. She sees it on her phone as she steps out of the elevator on the executive floor. Notifications stack faster than she can read them. Headlines blur together. Photos from the gala freeze her in moments she never agreed to be remembered by. CEO goes public with secretary. Inside, the kiss that shook Blackridge Holdings. Who is Claire Monroe? Her chest tightens, but she keeps walking. Ethan is already in his office when she arrives, jacket on, coffee untouched. He looks up the moment she enters, as if he has been waiting for proof that she did not disappear overnight. "You are on every major outlet," he says. "I noticed," Claire replies. He gestures to the chair across from him. "We start today." And just like that, the lie becomes routine. By noon, she is no longer simply a secretary. She is seated beside him at a senior leadership briefing, her presence unspoken but unmistakable. Conversations pause when she enters. Eyes follow her movements. Every word she says is measured twice, once for meaning and once for implication. Someone hands her a schedule that is no longer hers. Luncheon with investors, interview coaching at 3, family dinner on Friday. She reads the list slowly. "This is more than we agreed," she says. "This is what being visible costs," Ethan replies. "I will not let them see hesitation." Claire nods, even as the weight settles in her stomach. By the end of the week, the transformation is complete. Her desk is moved. Her access expands. Her wardrobe changes, not because Ethan demands it, but because the world does. Stylists appear. Consultants speak in soft, efficient tones. She learns how to walk beside him without reaching for her tablet, how to smile without explaining, how to answer questions without revealing anything real. At the first public luncheon, a board member leans in too close and says, "You must be very special." Claire meets his gaze calmly. "I am very capable." Ethan hears it. He does not interrupt. But later, in the car, he says, "You handled that well." It is the first compliment that is not part of the contract. That night, as the city hums outside the penthouse windows, Claire finally allows herself to feel the exhaustion. She stands alone in the guest room assigned to her for media convenience only. No shared space, no crossed lines. She reminds herself of the rules. This is temporary. This is controlled. This is not personal. Yet the next morning, something shifts. At a press appearance, a reporter asks a question meant to humiliate her. "Some say you used your position to get closer to power. What do you say to critics who call you opportunistic?" The room holds its breath. Claire opens her mouth, then stops. Ethan steps forward. "That question is inappropriate," he says evenly, "and inaccurate. Claire earned her position long before she earned my respect. If you are looking for opportunism, look elsewhere." The message is clear. He does not have to do this, but he does. Later, she confronts him. "You did not need to defend me like that." "Yes," he says, "I did." Something unspoken passes between them. Not affection, not yet. Recognition. That evening, as they prepare for another event, Claire watches Ethan from across the room. The man the world sees is composed, unshakable, powerful. The man she sees rubs his temple when he thinks no one is watching. For the first time, she wonders what this arrangement costs him. And for the first time, the line between the role and the person begins to blur. The contract sits untouched on the table, but the silence between them is changing. By the second week, the city stops whispering. It starts watching. Claire Monroe is no longer introduced as Ethan Cole's secretary. She is introduced as his partner. The words are never spoken directly, but they hang in the air at every event, every photo, every carefully staged smile. She learns the rhythm quickly. Walk half a step behind until cameras appear, then step beside him. Do not speak unless spoken to, unless silence would look weak. Never touch first, never flinch. At the first major board-hosted dinner since the gala, the tension is thick enough to taste. Long tables stretch beneath soft lighting. Crystal glasses catch reflections of faces trained to hide their thoughts. Claire sits to Ethan's right. This seat is not accidental. Halfway through the evening, the questions begin. A senior investor smiles thinly across the table. "Claire, you must find this world very different from where you started." The implication is clear. She does not rush her answer. "I do," she says calmly. "But leadership looks the same at every level. People notice who listens. They remember who follows through." A pause. Several heads turn. Ethan says nothing, but his hand tightens briefly against his glass. Later, Ethan's mother arrives unannounced. She is elegant, controlled, dangerous in her politeness. She studies Claire the way one might study a temporary inconvenience. "I hear you have been very busy," she says. Claire meets her gaze. "I take my responsibilities seriously." "And what responsibilities are those?" his mother asks. Claire does not look at Ethan before answering. "Supporting the man beside me," she says, "and protecting what he has built." The table goes quiet. Ethan's mother smiles, but it does not reach her eyes. That night, as they leave the venue, Claire feels the strain settle into her bones. The performance is flawless. The cost is invisible. But it is there. In the car, Ethan breaks the silence. "You did not have to handle that alone," he says. "I wanted to," Claire replies. "If this is going to work, I cannot look like I am hiding behind you." He studies her for a moment, then nods. At the next public appearance, the test comes harder. A rival executive openly mocks her credentials during a panel discussion, dismissing her as a temporary distraction. Laughter ripples through the audience. Claire feels the heat rise in her chest. This time, she speaks before Ethan can intervene. "I understand why you might think that," she says evenly. "It is easier to underestimate someone than to admit you missed their value." The laughter dies. "Fortunately," she continues, "results tend to speak louder than assumptions." The moderator clears his throat and moves on. Later, alone in a quiet corridor, Ethan stops her. "You do not need to fight every battle," he says. "I know," she replies, "but I will not lose them either." Something shifts between them. Not desire, respect. That night they sit across from each other in the penthouse, reviewing schedules. The city glows beyond the glass. The contract rests between them, unchanged. "You are good at this," Ethan says quietly. "So are you," Claire replies. Their eyes meet, linger a second too long, then pull away. They both notice. Neither speaks of it. The world believes the story it is being shown. But beneath the rehearsed smiles and careful distance, something unplanned is taking shape, and neither of them is prepared for what comes next. By the third week, the rules begin to feel heavier than the lie itself. Not because they are being broken, but because they are being tested. The first crack appears late one night, long after the city outside has dimmed. Claire is reviewing notes at the kitchen counter of the penthouse, careful to stay on her side of the space, when she hears a sharp intake of breath behind her. She turns. Ethan is standing near the window, one hand braced against the glass. His jacket is off. His tie is loosened. His posture, usually precise, is slightly off. "Are you all right?" she asks. "Yes," he says too quickly. She waits. The silence stretches. "No," he corrects. "I am not." It is the first time he has said that out loud. Claire sets the papers down and approaches, stopping at a respectful distance, close enough to see the tension in his jaw, far enough to honor the contract. "They scheduled another vote," Ethan says, quietly. "They want to force the merger before the quarter ends." "And you?" Claire asks. "I am running out of leverage," he says. "Public image buys time, not loyalty." Claire absorbs this. "Your family supports it." "Yes," he replies. "They always support what keeps control in the bloodline." There is no bitterness in his voice, only fatigue. Claire hesitates, then speaks carefully. "You built this company yourself. That matters." He lets out a breath that almost sounds like a laugh. Not to people who see power as inheritance. Something in his expression shifts, just for a moment. Vulnerability flickers, then disappears. Claire understands then. This arrangement is not only protecting her, it is shielding him from a lifetime of expectations he never chose. The next day brings another test. A charity luncheon hosted by Ethan's Family Foundation. Media everywhere. Donors watching closely. His mother seated directly across from Claire, eyes sharp and assessing. Halfway through the event, Ethan is called away unexpectedly. A strategic interruption, deliberate. Claire is left alone. "Well," his mother says calmly, "this has certainly been effective." Claire does not pretend to misunderstand. "I am aware of how this looks." "Are you?" his mother asks, "because appearances have consequences." "So do assumptions," Claire replies evenly. His mother tilts her head. "Do you intend to stay?" The question is loaded. "I intend to do what we agreed," Claire says, "and then I will leave." The truth lands harder than expected. That night, Ethan finds her on the balcony, staring out at the city lights. "My mother spoke to you," he says. "Yes." He waits. "She wanted to know if I planned to stay," Claire says. I told her no. Something dark flashes in his eyes. "You do not have to justify yourself to her." "I know," Claire replies, "but I needed to be honest, with her, and with you." He steps closer. Still no touch, still controlled. "And are you being honest?" he asks. Claire meets his gaze. "I am being careful." The word hangs between them, because careful is not the same as distant. The next morning, the contract lies open on the table, unread for days now. Ethan stops beside it, then looks at Claire. "This was supposed to be simple," he says. "It was never simple," she replies. Outside, the world still believes the story it is being fed. Inside, something real is pressing against the edges of what was never meant to last. And neither of them is sure how much longer the contract can hold. The 6th week changes the rhythm. Not outside, inside. The public schedule continues without pause. Dinners, interviews, appearances designed to project unity and control. To the world, Ethan Cole and Claire Monroe are seamless, polished, untouchable. But behind closed doors, the silence grows louder. It starts one evening after a late board meeting runs past midnight. Claire is gathering her things, preparing to retreat to her room, when Ethan speaks. Stay. The word is quiet, not commanding, not rehearsed. She stops. We still have boundaries, she says carefully. I know, he replies. I am not asking you to cross them. She hesitates, then nods and sits across from him at the long dining table. No papers, no agenda. Just two people who have been performing for weeks and are suddenly too tired to continue. Ethan pours a glass of water, then another, his movements slower than usual. I never thanked you, he says. For what? Claire asks. For choosing to stay when leaving would have been easier. Claire considers that. I stayed because it mattered, not because it was easy. He looks at her then, really looks at her. Not as a solution, not as protection, as a person. My father built his life around control, Ethan says quietly. Everything was leverage, nothing was personal. When he died, they expected me to become him. And you did not, Claire says. I tried not to, he replies. But control is contagious. The admission hangs between them. Claire leans back slightly. You are not like him. Ethan lets out a slow breath. That is not what the board thinks. I am not the board, she says. That simple sentence lands harder than any compliment. A few days later, the pressure spikes. A confidential memo leaks. Selective, precise, designed to wound. It questions Claire's influence, suggests favoritism, implies manipulation. The headlines soften the language. The message remains sharp. Ethan storms into his office, jaw tight. Claire follows, already bracing herself. I can handle this, she says before he speaks. I know, he replies, but you should not have to. He calls an emergency meeting, refuses to let her attend. She waits outside. When he finally emerges, his expression is controlled, but changed. Something has cracked beneath the surface. They want me to distance myself, he says, quietly, strategically. And you? Claire asks. I refused, he says. Her breath catches. That will cost you. Yes. The word is firm. That night, the penthouse feels different, smaller, closer. The contract still lies on the table, but neither of them looks at it. I did not refuse because of the deal, Ethan says. I refused because they were wrong. Claire steps closer, stopping just short of crossing the line they have guarded for weeks. This is becoming dangerous for you, she says. So is pretending this does not matter, he replies. For a moment, neither speaks. The city hums below them, distant, indifferent. I am still here, Claire says softly. Ethan nods. I know. He reaches out, then stops himself. His hand hovers between them before falling back to his side. The restraint is louder than any touch. They are no longer acting. They are choosing. And both of them understand now that the hardest part is still ahead. The collapse does not arrive loudly. It arrives scheduled. The invitation lands in Claire's inbox at 6:40 a.m., marked urgent and mandatory. Emergency board session. Full attendance. Media present. Her stomach tightens before she even opens the attachment. By the time she reaches the executive floor, the atmosphere has changed. Conversations stop when she passes. Assistants avoid eye contact. Security presence is heavier than usual. This is not routine. Ethan meets her outside the boardroom. His face is calm, but his eyes are sharp, alert. They are moving faster than expected, he says quietly. About the merger? Claire asks. And about you, he replies. The doors open before she can respond. The room is full. Board members line the long table, expressions unreadable. Legal counsel sits at the far end. Two journalists wait near the wall, notebooks already open. Claire takes her seat beside Ethan, back straight, hands steady. The chairman begins without ceremony. "We are here to address a breach of trust." The words echo. A screen lights up behind him. Documents appear. Screenshots. Excerpts pulled carefully out of context. Private emails. Selective messages. One page shows the contract. Their contract. A murmur ripples through the room. "This agreement," the chairman continues, "suggests a deliberate attempt to manipulate public perception for personal and corporate gain." Claire feels the air leave her lungs. Ethan stands immediately. "That document was confidential and legally vetted. And now it is public," the chairman replies, "which raises questions about your judgment." Another board member leans forward. "And her influence." The word lands like a blade. "She leveraged her position," someone says. "This relationship compromised leadership integrity." Claire realizes then what this is. Not an investigation, an execution. Before Ethan can speak again, she stands. "No," she says clearly. All eyes turn to her. "This arrangement was not my idea," Claire continues, "and it was not a manipulation. It was a response to pressure created in this very room." Murmurs grow louder. The chairman raises a hand. "This is not appropriate." "It is necessary," Claire says calmly. "If accountability is required, direct it where it belongs." Ethan turns toward her sharply. "Claire, stop." She does not. "I was offered terms. I accepted because it protected people who had no power in this room," she says, "including my family, including this company." Silence follows. Then a voice cuts through it. "And yet you benefited." It is Ethan's mother. She steps forward from the side of the room, composed, decisive. "This situation has become untenable," she says. "The board requires stability. My son has become a liability to that goal." Claire feels the weight of the words. This was planned. Ethan's jaw tightens. "You orchestrated this." His mother does not deny it. "I prevented a future mistake." The chairman clears his throat. "The board proposes immediate separation. Miss Monroe will step down. Mr. Cole will issue a public statement distancing himself." The journalists lean forward. Claire turns to Ethan. She sees it in his face. If he fights this now, he loses everything. She makes her choice before he can speak. "I agree," she says. The room stills. "I will step down," Claire continues, "effective immediately." Ethan stands. "No." She looks at him once, steady and unflinching. "This is where it ends," she says quietly. "For me." She turns back to the room. "Release whatever statement you want. I will not contest it." She gathers her things with deliberate calm. As she reaches the door, Ethan speaks her name. She does not turn, because some exits must be clean. Behind her, the board resumes its controlled breathing. The story will be spun, the narrative restored. Outside the room, Claire walks away without looking back. And for the first time since the contract was signed, the lie is over. But the cost is only beginning. The fallout is immediate. By noon, the headlines have shifted. CEO distances himself from secretary amid scandal. Board restores order after internal crisis. Claire Monroe resigns. Claire reads them from a small cafe 3 blocks away from the Blackridge Tower. She chose it because it has no televisions, no polished mirrors, just chipped mugs and the quiet hum of people who do not care who she used to stand beside. Her phone buzzes non-stop. She does not answer. Ethan's name appears more than once, then disappears. Across the city, the board moves fast. A press conference is scheduled for that evening, controlled, sanitized. Ethan is expected to attend, expected to read the statement they prepared, expected to let the story end cleanly. He stands alone in his office, staring at the skyline that once made him feel invincible. It does not anymore. The statement sits on his desk, 3 paragraphs, carefully worded. It frames the relationship as a misunderstanding, a lapse in judgment, a resolved issue. Claire's name appears once. No context, no defense, no truth. He hears his mother's voice in his head. Stability, legacy, control. Then he remembers Claire walking out without turning back. He does not go to the press conference. The room fills without him. Cameras flash anyway, The chairman steps up to the podium, smiling tightly. Mr. Cole sends his regrets, he begins. At the same moment, Ethan is making a different call. Cancel it, he says to his legal counsel. All of it. Silence on the line. Ethan, the voice replies carefully. If you do this, there is no undoing it. I know, he says. An hour later, Claire's phone rings. She does not recognize the number. She answers anyway. I need you to listen, Ethan says. Her breath catches. You should not be calling me. I know, he replies, but I am not calling as your chief executive officer. There is a pause. I am calling because I am done pretending. She closes her eyes. The board is issuing statements, she says. They are rewriting everything. I am stopping them, he says. You cannot, she replies. They will remove you. I am aware, he says. The certainty in his voice unsettles her. I am holding my own press conference, he continues. In 1 hour, I will tell the truth, all of it. Claire's chest tightens. That will cost you your position. Yes. Your company. Possibly. Your family. Definitely. Silence stretches between them. Why? She finally asks. Ethan exhales slowly. Because the lie was supposed to protect us, and instead, it erased you. Her voice softens despite herself. This is not your responsibility anymore. It is, he says, because the contract ended when you walked away. What remains is my choice. She grips the edge of the table. And what if I do not want to be part of this again? She asks. I am not asking you to return, Ethan says. I am asking you to let me stand where you stood, alone and visible. At exactly 7 p.m., Ethan Cole steps onto the stage alone. No board members beside him. No prepared statement. Just a microphone and the truth. This is not a scandal, he says. It is a failure of courage, and it is mine. He explains the pressure, the contract, the manipulation, the board's role. He says Claire's name clearly. She did not leverage me. I leveraged a system that punishes honesty, he says, and I will not do it again. By the time the broadcast ends, everything has changed. Across the city, Claire watches from the cafe. Her hands are shaking. For the first time since this began, the choice is no longer forced. It is real. And Ethan Cole has just given up everything to prove it. The world does not end after the press conference. It simply goes quiet. For 3 days, Ethan Cole disappears from public view. No statements, no interviews, no corrections. The board suspends him pending review. His mother does not call. The company he built continues without him, efficient and distant. Claire watches from afar. She does not reach out. She understands now that some choices must echo before they mean anything. On the 4th morning, a package arrives at her apartment. No return address. Inside is the original contract, unsigned, unmarked, folded once down the center. At the bottom, a single line has been added in Ethan's handwriting. This was never love. What comes next is. Her breath catches. That evening she walks. No cameras, no drivers, just quiet streets and early spring air. She stops at the small park near the river where she used to eat lunch before her life turned into headlines. He is already there. Not in a suit, not performing, just Ethan. He stands when he sees her, unsure for the first time since she met him. I did not know if you would come, he says. I did not know if I should, Claire replies. They stand a few feet apart. No script, no contract, no obligation. I resigned, Ethan says, before they could decide for me. She nods. I know. I am not asking you to fix anything, he continues. I am not asking you to return. I only wanted the chance to say this without leverage. She waits. I used power when I should have used honesty, he says. I will spend the rest of my life answering for that, but I will not regret choosing you. The words land gently, no pressure, no demand. Claire looks at the river, then back at him. You lost everything, she says. I lost what did not belong to me anymore, he replies. What I kept was the part I was afraid to live without. Silence stretches between them. Then Claire speaks. I am not your solution, she says. I will never be your shield. I know, Ethan says. I do not want a shield. She takes a breath. If this is real, it starts small. No cameras, no announcements, no control. He nods. I would not know how to do it any other way. She steps closer, not into his arms, just close enough to matter. This time, she says, I choose. He does not move. He lets her. The kiss that follows is nothing like the first. No witnesses, no urgency, no performance. Just two people standing still, finally equal. Months later, the headlines fade. Blackridge Holdings restructures. Ethan starts again, quieter, on his own terms. Claire returns to work she chooses, not work that uses her. They are not seen often, but sometimes, at charity events or small gatherings, someone will notice them walking side by side. No titles, no explanations. And those who know the story understand something important. That love born from a contract only becomes real when the contract is burned. And that the bravest move is not the one that stuns everyone. It is the one made when no one is watching.